Live from the United Center, this is Channel 2 News. Special coverage of the Democratic National Convention, Chicago 96.
From the heartland of the country, from the heart of the floor of this convention center, jubilant, awash in color in what looked to be moonbeams coming down from the ceiling, 150,000 balloons, banners, American flags, a spectacular grand finale of the Democratic Convention. It wraps up tonight with a dramatic show of unity and a heartfelt thanks to the city of Chicago.
I love Chicago for many reasons. For your powerful spirit, your sports teams, your lively politics, but most of all, for the love and light of my life, Chicago's daughter, Hillary.
Good evening, live from the United Center where the partying continues at this moment. I'm Linda MacLennan.
And I'm Lester Holt. The music of Les Miserables. The celebration continues with the President, First Lady, the Gores, surrounded by political friends still celebrating at this hour. Channel 2's Bill Kurtis has been with the Illinois delegation throughout the night. Let's go to him now live for reaction to Mr. Clinton's speech. Bill?
Holy cow, what an experience. This is a night to be proud of Chicago. It is raining Mylar, confetti, balloons, and the Illinois delegation, half of them are up there. Senator Braun, Senator Simon, and the rest are down here. Let's try to do a little business, because over an hour, about an hour and 10 minutes, he covered all the bases. David Wilhelm, what's new in that speech?
Oh, I think this man wants to be president again because he spelled out a real agenda for the next term. He focused on the absolute criticality of education in this country, from reading to college education. I mean, I think that the choice this year is so clear between a Bob Dole campaign that stresses a reckless tax cut and education. Oh, what's new?
Jim Wall, we were conferring here, trying to think of all the things that we hadn't heard before.
Well, we've got...
You're overcome.
Yeah, we're overcome.
You know, I think this is a State of the Union address in many ways. He summarized where he's been, but then he pushed forward into the future, into the 21st century.
The bridge to the future. That was the
That was the
watchword.
main theme that he was pushing. Bridge. Notice how he touched on. He didn't give this partisan crowd any red meat to chew on.
Yep.
It was a very statesmanlike. Nothing partisan.
Danny Davis, how'd you like it?
I think it's incredible. As a matter of fact, it's difficult to describe. I think it just blows the lid off of everything. This is the most fantastic we've ever seen.
It's quieting down because this convention is coming to a close. Emil Jones, can I interrupt your prayer for just a moment? What was your reaction to the speech?
Tremendous speech. I like the idea about we coming together to build that bridge to the 21st century and not build a bridge going backwards. We're on that information super highway where he wants all to go. I think the country will be behind him because he's a great president.
Thank you. Kerry LaPale, how'd you like it?
I think it put the whole election in perspective. We either want to move backward, as Bob Dole and Jack Kemp want to do, or we want to move forward in the 21st century, educate our children better, and take care of our families better.
Here's Dick Durbin. I noticed you were smiling there when he talked about a new Congress.
Absolutely, and I tell you, the president's agenda to help working families really hits a nail on the head. Help them buy a home, help them pay for a college education for their kids, the kind of security people want to have, and it's going to take a new Congress to make that happen.
Thank you, gentlemen. It has been a tiring 4 days, but the convention is just coming to a close with happy faces and happy smiles. Lester and Linda, back to you.
All right, thank you, Bill. The president's speech hit many themes tonight, some of them you've just heard of. We asked Channel 2's political editor, Mike Flannery, to listen and then break down those themes for us. He's live with the key points. Mike?
Well, Linda, you can't ignore, I think, the overriding impact of this thing. This president is a skillful speech maker in ways that his Republican challenger Bob Dole is not. With Bill Clinton, you see him biting his lip with a catch in his voice, with a lump in his throat, projecting emotion and empathy, all of it with an eye to making a political impact. And among the things he did tonight was to make a pledge that comes easily to a front runner on campaign tactics.
It is legitimate, even necessary, to compare our record with theirs, our proposals for the future with theirs. And I expect them to make a vigorous effort to do the same. But I will not attack. I will not attack them personally or permit others to do it in this party if I can prevent it.
Easy enough, of course, for a guy who has a 15 percentage point lead. He doesn't have to attack. It is the other side that must. Now, the president also proposed a series of things to give a boost to education.
Every 8-year-old will be able to read. Every 12-year-old will be able to log in on the internet. Every 18-year-old will be able to go to college. And all Americans will have the knowledge they need to cross that bridge to the 21st century.
Now, attempting to blunt the bold Bob Dole 15% across-the-board tax cuts that are being offered by the Republicans in this campaign, well, Bill Clinton offered his own set of tax breaks.
We should cut taxes for the family sending a child to college, for the worker returning to college, for the family saving to buy a home or for long-term health care, and a $500 per child credit for middle-income families raising their children who need help with child care and what the children will do after school. That is the right way to cut taxes. Pro-family, pro-education, pro-economic growth.
And indeed, you saw also that the president was pitching there hard for a Democratic Congress. With that 15 percentage point lead in the latest CBS News poll, he's obviously feeling confident enough to start focusing on some races. And indeed, there is a question that was asked in that CBS News poll, Lester, and it is an ominous one for the Republicans who now control Congress. It indicates that by a margin of 45% to 36%, voters across the country say they plan to vote for a Democrat for Congress. That would give control to the Democrats if that holds up and make Richard Gephardt of Missouri the next Speaker of the House, knocking out Newt Gingrich. Reporting live from just outside the United Center, Mike Flannery, Channel 2 News. Back to you, Lester.
All right, Mike, well, we can tell you that the 1996 Democratic National Convention is now officially history. The gavel has fallen. It is over, but here's a man who's going to bask in it for just a little while longer. President Clinton, surrounded by family, by political cronies, a crowded platform, still basking in the limelight of this moment.
No,
renominated.
I don't think one person has left that podium, and as you say, it is jam-packed up there.
Normally we have all this week been joined by the Reverend Jesse Jackson to offer a little insight. We can tell you see him right there in the back. I don't think he'll be joining us today. No one's going to get out of this pack for some time. The First Lady watched most of the speech from in the stands not far from us. About 3/4 of the way through the speech, the First Lady and the First Daughter were escorted down to the tunnel and out to the other side where they joined President Clinton at the end of the speech. Carol Moseley Braun, Senator from Illinois, with the president right now at the front there.
Saw some of the cabinet members up there as well. Chelsea Clinton, a few seconds ago, still acknowledging the crowd and waving. But nobody seems to want this party to end.
And it's no suspense. We certainly knew how it was going to end, although I've got to tell you, this is my 5th political convention. I've never seen quite a balloon and confetti drop like this one. It just kept coming and coming and coming.
First came down what you see, they look like moonbeams really. It was silver mylar confetti, fairly large. Then the balloons started coming down, blue, red, then white. And then the blue, red, and white confetti, more mylar confetti.
Tinsel still floating through the air here. We have all marveled this week. It is hard not to be a Chicago booster this week. If you were from this city, we're all very proud of what has occurred here in terms of the show the city was able to put on. But what happened in the United Center was something hard to describe. Those of you who've been here for sporting events would not recognize what they have done here.
Interestingly, they have to dismantle what it took them 40 some odd days to put up in here. I think they have 10 days to dismantle all of this because of a Neil Diamond concert that's coming into this hall. But as you say, it resembles in no way whatsoever the giant, wonderful new sporting hall that it normally is.
Well, I think it's certainly a successful convention. Time will tell whether it was a successful convention politically for President Clinton, but certainly a successful convention for the city of Chicago. This is the outside shot. Police controlling a pretty wide area around the United Center. These are apparently guests who are leaving now. The delegates don't look like they've left the floor. It is still crowded down below, but there were thousands of guests who had the lucky tickets to be in the stands tonight. This was this is still a live picture now, looking at the podium.
He's still talking despite the fact that his voice was already pretty hoarse.
Well, he spoke for, boy, I lost the time on it, but I think it was about an hour and 10, roughly an hour 15 minutes. Obviously interrupted by numerous times by applause. They had timed that speech out to 45 minutes, and then they had to factor in, of course, the applause, and that took it well beyond that period.
This place was packed to the rafters. There's the president's brother and his wife and their little son. The president referred to them during his speech. This place was packed to the rafters. And I can tell you that in the seats up along the sides, it looks like almost everybody has cleared out, or a lot of people have cleared out. But as you said, the floor is still jam-packed, as is the podium.
Well, this is a shining and a special moment for the president, but probably hasn't been the best couple of days for other reasons, and that is because of scandal rocking his campaign. And tonight there are friends and foes of the president who are questioning the timing of a splashy tabloid article that has taken down Mr. Clinton's top political advisor. It's a front-page story that puts Dick Morris in the middle of a sex scandal, forcing his abrupt resignation from the Clinton campaign. Morris is credited with being the man who crafted Mr. Clinton's centrist image. Tonight he's being painted as a person who told the president secrets to a prostitute. Channel 2's Jay Levine has the latest on the story. Jay?
Lester, the dramatic and emotional ending of this convention, which you can still see going on behind me, makes it hard to remember the storm clouds which gathered over this United Center earlier today. Storm clouds brought on by the same supermarket tabloid which paid Jennifer Flowers for her story 4 years ago about her affair with the president when he was governor, her alleged affair with the president when he was governor of Arkansas. Well, now that same tabloid has the president's top political strategist under fire, a man who in a few short days has gone from kingmaker to outcast.
This week's Time called him the man who has Clinton's ear. Now he's Bill's bad boy, the president's million-dollar image maker who allegedly spent his idle hours with a high-priced hooker, Sherry Rowlands, taking calls from the president while the two were in bed.
He motioned her to come over and sit on the couch next to him and get real close, and he held the receiver up to, between them so she could hear. And she said, there was no doubt about it, this is the president's voice.
Supermarket tabloid reporter Richard Gooding has seen her notes, listened to her tapes, and allegedly photographed the two of them last week wearing only bathrobes on a hotel balcony. A statement from Morris called it yellow journalism, which I will not dignify with a response, ever. The White House responded quickly after learning of the story late yesterday.
Was he asked for his resignation? The answer is no. He voluntarily submitted it to the campaign. The campaign accepted it overnight. The president was informed of it this morning.
The president called Morris my friend and said he would always be grateful for his contributions. Dick Morris, who helped engineer the president's political comeback, left the Sheraton early this morning, heading home to Connecticut. Mayor Daley was quick to defend the president, downplaying the impact of the alleged scandal.
I don't think there's going to be political damage. This is just someone's personal life.
Others said the only reason the story was getting so much play was because of the lack of controversy this week.
This had the effect of dropping a big piece of meat in a shark tank with sharks who hadn't been fed for a long time.
The convention's first controversy didn't stop the crowd from giving the president a hero's welcome. And one of the president's top aides, Chicagoan Rahm Emanuel, speaking from the skybox where he'd watched tonight's speech, didn't feel it would distract from his message either.
Doesn't this come at the worst possible time?
What's the best possible time is that for him to stand at that podium and lay out his vision for the future of the American people.
Is this a distraction?
The most important thing for the people is to hear from their president what he wants to do in the next 4 years to build a better America.